I am going to tell you about the fourth president of the United States, James Madison, and I'm also going to predict what kind of student I think he would have been like if he was a student in my 7th grade math class. We are wasting time. Hello, Hotties. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. I'm Ali Mack, and I am currently a 7th grade math teacher. While you're here, please click the subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you don't miss any other videos from me. Do it now. So this is the 4th video in this series of the good, the bad, and trivia of former presidents of the United States. And like in my previous videos, I plan to tell you all about James Madison, the good, the bad, trivia or fun facts, which is my favorite part of the whole thing. And I'm going to predict, with all that knowledge and all that background information, I'm going to predict what kind of student I think he would have been like if he were a student in my 7th grade classroom. I think I said that in the introduction. So without wasting any more of your time, I'm ready if you are. All right, so this is the part of the video where I give you some background on the 4th president, James Madison. Madison learned mathematics, geography, and classical languages, and he was proficient in Latin. I wish they would bring back teaching Latin to students now, because that is how I became a better reader. Little side story, I was in a remediation reading class in my 6th, 7th, and 8th grade years because I was not a very strong reader. And the way they helped us learn how to read better was teaching us Latin roots and Greek and that kind of stuff, and that way we could decode words. So the fact that James Madison was really good with languages, and Latin especially, well, I think he was good at languages because he was good at Latin. Personally, that's my personal opinion. But what do I know? James Madison was an advocate for a strong federal government. And it might be because I live in Mississippi, but I would much rather have a strong federal government than a state government. Now, my opinion might change if I live somewhere else, but I have found that a lot of times, since I live in a red state, and I just tend to be more blue personally, and to be honest, I really don't have a set party that I vote for. It's always about the candidate and how is this candidate, how is this candidate going to benefit me? And because I tend to lean more to the Democratic Party and their beliefs, a lot of times they don't pass laws and do things in Mississippi that is best for me. So in my situation, I prefer a strong federal government, but it might change if I lived in a blue state. I'm not sure, and I'm sure everybody has a different opinion on this. He married a very charismatic lady named Dolly Todd. I've always loved the name Dolly. It might have to do with Dolly Parton, and I was kind of inspired by Dolly and Dolly Parton today with how I was dressing. I figured I would be a little bit more elaborate today than, well, let's be real, I'm elaborate a good bit of days. Another important thing, another background thing, he is referred to as the father of the Constitution. And when he was in Congress, he helped frame the Bill of Rights. So that's pretty cool background information, don't you think? So this is the part in the video where I tell you some good things about James Madison. He helped create the first drafts of the Bill of Rights and the Constitution of the United States. He was the one that said the federal government needed to be set up as a system of checks and balances so that not the judicial, executive, or legislative branches would be too powerful. They could always check and balance each other, so not one piece was too powerful to take over and ruin the whole democracy. He drafted the Federalist Papers with Alexander Hamilton, and I also love the fact that he adopted his wife's son and raised him as his own. I have a special place in my heart for stepfathers, and a lot of times, like in TV, Law and Order, things like that, stepdads get a very bad rep for being abusive or whatever, but let me tell you, My husband, we don't even refer to him as a stepdad. He's Papa Bear. We call him Papa Bear. Even I call him Papa Bear because he has raised my children like they were his own. And I think that's why I have such a soft spot for men that step up and help women, because if it weren't for my husband, I don't know. I was barely hanging on. So those are some good things about James Madison. Okay, so this is the part in the video where I tell you some not so good things about James Madison, the bad, if you will. The first I'm going to tell you is that he owned slaves. Another thing that he did is he led the United States into war in 1812 when we were not ready to go to war. Now, there might be more to this story than I know about, but all my research says that he got us into a war that we weren't ready for. And one last bad thing. You know how sometimes whenever people are talking privately among friends, allegedly James Madison, when he was talking with his friends privately, he thought Native Americans could not be civilized. So he just thought they couldn't be taught, they couldn't be civilized. But to be honest, who are we to tell people how they live their life? But maybe that's just a modern day person thinking. I don't know. It's actually pretty impressive that I could only find 3 not so good things about James Madison. Okay, so this is the part in the video where I tell you some fun facts about James Madison, or some trivia, if you will. It is said that Madison was very shy, and he relied on his wife Dolly whenever he was interacting at parties, when he was dealing with the political side, because you know how usually politicians have to be very charismatic and talkative and all that stuff. Since he was very shy, he kind of relied on his wife to help him do all that. She relieved some of the social pressures he felt during his political career. Another fun fact, and I know this video is not about Dolly Madison, but she was pretty impressive. In fact, she set the standard of what a first lady should act like, how they should behave, what their job was, what their role was in this system of democracy. And basically the main thing was the first lady usually took on social affairs of the nation. The last fun fact that I will mention is right before the British burned down the White House, Dolly was able to save a painting of George Washington and some documents right before it burned down. She grabbed all these things and then ran to safety because of her, these items were saved and salvaged. Maybe salvaged is not the right word, but anyway, so I kind of hate to have a whole section for this for quotes because I've only got one quote. But it's okay, right? We're having fun here. We're talking about James Madison and learning some history, all that good stuff. So the quote is, they say that his last words were, "I talk better lying down." Let me see if I can try this. Okay. Do I talk better lying down? Do I talk better lying down? I don't know if I do. We'll just say I don't. And I wish y'all could see this ridiculous outfit that I'm wearing because, you can't see the bottom half of me. I think a lot of us are getting all dressed up from the waist up, and now, you can't see the waist down. But if my students saw me today, they would be like, "Woman, you're crazy." Okay, so this is the last part of the video, and this is where I share with you what I predict James Madison would have been like if he were a student in my 7th grade math class. So let's talk about some things we know about him. He was the oldest of 12 siblings. And usually, what I know about the firstborn child, even just nowadays, is they're very take charge, lead the way, usually leaders, and they make sure that everybody is on the right track. And a lot of times, if they have that many siblings, they take a huge part in helping take care of them. So that tells me James Madison was the type of person that takes initiative, and he was not helpless. And it is said that he was humorous in small gatherings. I get that, because if you were to meet me and I was in a crowd of people, I probably wouldn't be very talkative. I'd just be like, "Hi, nice to meet you. Yeah, hi, yeah." But when I get in an individual or just 2 or 3 people, I feel like my personality comes alive. You know what I mean? And it seems like he was the same way. So if he was a student in my classroom, that tells me that he would not talk in class. He would be very shy. He would not really say anything unless he was called upon. But if you put him in a small group where they were working together, I feel like his personality would come to life. You know, they said he was humorous. And this kind of reminds me of my own son because he's very shy, doesn't really talk. But you start playing games with him, you start seeing his personality, and it's very cute. So another thing we know about James Madison is he suffered from anxiety. I can relate. And it said it left him often fatigued, which I can relate to that too. It also says that Madison often feared for the worst. So he always expected the worst, and he was kind of a hypochondriac. I'm not that bad, but they say he was. So in a way, this makes me think James Madison is that student that always needs a pass to the nurse. Y'all know who I'm talking about? Y'all know there's always one, and it's something different every day usually. And I think James Madison would have been a shy kid, obviously, but he also would have been a very sweet kid. You would have to initiate the conversation with him, but once you did, he would open up. I think he might even have one or two really close friends after he got to know them a little bit. And even though some of these are similar to what I said about Thomas Jefferson, the difference between James Madison and Thomas Jefferson is if you were rude or snapped off at him, he would come at you. But I don't think James Madison would. I think he might actually take the abuse and maybe not even tell a teacher or somebody that he was being, you know, bullied or harmed. I mean, just a prediction, maybe. All right, that is it for this video. If you found it helpful, informative, or even entertaining, please like, share, and subscribe. Have you subscribed yet? I'll wait. Go ahead. It's just that button. Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Comment below the candle emoji. And as always, you guys have the best day ever, and I will see you in my next video. Goodbye. I'm going for a punk rock look today. See my fake mohawk and my fake piercings?